Welcome back, tourist, to another episode of Tabletop Tour Guides, where you're gobbling up each adventure. I'm one of your hosts, Drew. We have with us one of your other hosts, Mike.
Hi.
And your other host, John.
Hey,
And I think this might be the third episode in a row where we've involved the anal region before the episode. We talked about prostates not too long ago, and now we're talking about gap-filling butt cracks on models. So there's obviously some kind of sub-theme here. There it is.
Yeah, there you go.
For those listening, Mike's got a model to the camera. Check us out on our YouTube. So, wow. Well, it is, as of recording, it is June 7th, so we're putting this out just a couple days before we publish it. And John had a really cool idea for a topic this month. But before we get into what that topic is and why it matters and it's relevant to this month, let's start off with what's on the table, guys. Mike, do you wanna start us off with what you've been up to and what you're drinking?
What I'm drinking, I've got a Voodoo Ranger Juice Force IPA right now. It's a 9.5% beverage, so the bang for the buck is good. It's pretty tasty. I've gotten into a few IPAs lately, and so I used to hate them, and now it's not quite as bad as drinking soap. I'm just trying to like them. Anyhow, as far as other stuff goes, I've been hobbying a little bit, working on some Trench Crusade stuff. I've got a Werewolf done so far. I'm working on my Bomb Witch. What's she? Artillery Witch.
Mm-hmm.
I've got to do some OSL stuff on her with the airbrush tomorrow and that kind of junk. And then I'm starting to work on my list for the grand narrative because I need to get pretty far ahead of that. And while it is in November and 5 months away, that's going to be here before I know it, and I won't have shit done if I don't start now. So I have exactly one model finished out of the 27 I have to build. I'm working on the second one right now.
Which one do you have finished?
The Assassin.
Oh, you mean built?
Yeah.
But not finished.
He's built.
It's the gray assassin with the white ass crack.
They gotta be painted, just so you know, for the grand narrative.
What do you think that white is?
I had a silver hand, and that's 3 colors.
Okay,
just saying.
Fair enough. That's fair. You're right. That's fair. What are you taking to the grand narrative, Mike?
I'm taking Imperial Knights.
You know what's so funny? we're gonna get to September, the end of September, and the Knights Codex is gonna drop, and then they're gonna have like a bunch of point decreases or something like that, and you're gonna have to build and paint more models.
That's how it's gonna
get
get.
2 months.
That's fair, but I'm just saying that to be ready for that.
You just need to buy one of those new ones, that'll fill up all those points.
That's true. Yeah, just run. Well, because I think you're going to have a spare little knight, so that ought to help out. But,
yeah.
So, the only reason I'm taking these guys anyway is because I was gifted a few knights, right? And so I had some other stuff and from some of the shop stuff I picked up at the shop and whatever. But, good guys aren't my jam anyway. So,
word.
Yeah, I'm not too into that. I'm just playing these good guys because you guys are playing good guys, and so yeah. Otherwise,
want to roll up with the squad,
all the things, and yeah.
And all
the things. Be playing 12 little knights. You know how it is.
Oh man, let's not talk about that. All right, so Voodoo Ranger, Imperial Knights for the grand narrative. What's the most exciting thing coming down the pipe out of this army that you're? What are you most pumped for?
For the project. For the army?
Yeah, what model are you the most excited for to get painted?
Man, I don't know. None of them.
Dang. Great.
I mean, Cortez or whatever his name is, he'll be okay because I can practice some gold on him. And
none of them.
The Grey Knights maybe, but my first foray into NMM silver to me wasn't overall a success, and so I don't want them to look like shit, but I can always rattle cam them, lead belcher, and put some highlights on them and call them good if I need to. So,
Yeah.
you know, down the road they'll be easy if I have to get them there. Um,
Fair
I
enough.
guess the big robots are kind of cool, but again, they're just not my thing. If I was painting orc skin or Eldar or something like that, I'd be a lot more jazzed about the demons. I'd be a lot more jazzed about what I'm doing. But right now, I'm just looking at all these things as starting to paint again and learning to paint in new and different ways. And because honestly, it's been decades since I actually painted like armies of stuff, other than using kind of a slap chop method on some Star Wars guys and junk like that. So, uh, you know, watching some Patreon people and getting some lessons at Adepticon and stuff kind of has me jazzed up to, paint the new way and try to paint everything to a little bit higher quality and standard than I was used to before. So,
Oh
um,
yeah.
so all of this stuff, I mean, one thing about the army that I've chosen is I've got a lot of organic material. I've got a lot of hard metal material. I've got robots. So you kind of cover the gambit of things. Even with Cortez himself, I've got his his fur cloak and his bird for feathers. So it's kind of a cool mix of material to paint, but overall, I'm not overly excited about Space Marines, good guys, that kind of stuff. So
Well,
yeah.
that's fair. Yeah, no, that's totally fair. Well, we appreciate you slogging through it to help us have a bigger team at the narrative for sure.
Well, like I've
John?
always said, you always want to play what people are playing, and so it
Yeah.
would suck to go down to a tournament like the Grand Narrative with 9 other guys, and I'm the demon player, and everybody else is playing good guys.
Right.
So
And you don't see us for the whole weekend.
right. So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it just makes more
Yeah.
sense, and I'm
Yeah, I'd
okay
like a
with that because fuck, I don't even know how to play the game. So I mean, there's that too, and
yeah.
so I just need to learn how to play the game and get a army up and going. It doesn't matter if it's this one or what it is. So
Yeah.
just
Well,
need
I
to
think
know.
I think Imperial Knights is a really good army to learn the game with, just because they are such a small model count and their rules are very straightforward.
Yeah, you
Um,
never have to worry about time. It's going to be like you're always going to be under time and be able to enjoy your time.
Well,
You
and you
know.
get to play an assassin, so that's kind of cool. I
Hmm.
really
yeah.
like the assassins. I mean, I don't particularly care for the assassin that I'm taking, but you know, uh, it's okay.
Well, and that maybe one point, if points do get dropped, that'll be where you can fit in, because I think you're only like 15 points away from the Calidus. So um, when points drop, that'll be something to look at. So that's another thing too, for like if points do end up dropping, depending on how severe they drop, they usually can just turn into a little upgrade here or an enhancement or something like that. That way you're not really having to worry about totally overhauling your list. So
And I don't know about my list anyway. I mean, I'm not sure it's built to win. I think it's just a conglomeration of just stuff. So, I mean, I don't know anything about it, to be honest with you. So, I mean, obviously you made it. So, you probably set me up for failure, and we're okay with that.
I made it with very strict parameters, mind you. Um, so
So you
for,
know it's made for
for
failure.
for someone
First
who
parameter,
for someone
failure.
who's not excited about any of the models in their army, they were very specific about which ones they wanted in
Yeah,
their
the ones that
army.
don't suck even more. I
You
mean,
were like,
let's
I
take the
want
best
Grey
bad option we
Knights.
can, right?
Oh my gosh. Well, I actually think that. So he's got Kodiaz in a Chimera with 12 Inquisitor henchmen. And I feel like that's actually really obnoxious to deal with, because they're going to just go slam onto an objective, camp there, and not die. So, and then Kodiaz is just an asshole. So he steals CP every turn. Um, so I think you'll be fine. And then the knights you have are like Canis Rex, who's just cracked, and then a Valiant, which is just a giant stat check. Most people can't deal with it, and it's going to just pick up a unit every turn, if not two. So I used to run a Valiant, and I would kill 2 little knights a turn with just a Valiant. Just walk up to them and just blast. So I think it looks like a cool list. For personally, I would be surprised if it didn't do at least break even at the grand narrative if it went 3-3.
And the coolest thing about painting the knights is that it allows me to practice for painting War Machine stuff. So
Yeah, a very
Smart.
similar crossover there for sure. That like steampunk kind of a vibe. There's a lot of that definitely in the Imperial Knights. So that and the AdMech probably have the closest ties to War Machine. So cool. Anything else to add on the Knights?
no, I don't think so.
Fair enough. John, what's on the table for you? What are you drinking?
Water.
Water.
Yeah. Still
Water.
trying to stay hydrated.
You know, in
For
other
the viewers out
countries,
there.
they do drink whiskey and it clears their throat.
Mhm.
And that's a whole old people thing, was a hot toddy at night, you know, whiskey and lemon juice and stuff, and it helps your throat. So you might consider that. Go get some
There you
whiskey.
go. Go get some whiskey.
I'm good. I've got enough medications to keep me going. On the table for
John's
me,
been sick.
yeah, I've been sick for a week, so I'm a week behind in what I want to get done. But I did get some things done where I could. I have my jump pack intercessors, which I picked up, and got them all built and primed.
Okay.
Hopefully, we'll be able to start, taking the airbrush to them to get their base coats on. Finished 30, 31 models of the Thousand Suns, so I got about 16 left before that army's done.
Okay. Sweet.
Yeah, Terminators need to get done, and a few characters, so maybe it's like 17. And then I'll have that army done. And then looking on to what I picked up today, which is the Space Wolves.
The new Space Wolves.
That's
Yeah,
right.
that box is so good.
Yeah, I was going over it right before we started recording. Actually, I think I have it right here. This beautiful,
Yeah,
beautiful.
that box is. It's the Codex even.
Yeah.
I might have to buy
Does
the
that come in
Codex.
the box?
You get that and the limited edition. That's the limited edition Codex and the limited edition data cards.
Yeah, those data cards are
Those are
pretty
so
nice. Comes in this little case right here, and they're all gold on the side too.
That's
No, I wouldn't mind playing Space Wolves. They look kind of cool.
I'm with you there. If I could afford it, I would be buying 2 boxes and playing Space Wolves right now. So
I've thought about it, but you know what? They just did a balanced data slate, and the Lion looks fun again. I want to bring that guy out again.
You're so Space Marined up. You're ridiculous.
I really am.
Well, the only reason I say 2 is because that's probably the first army set in a while that like every list with Space Wolves, it feels like, starts with 6 head takers, 20 of the claws? What are the melee guys?
Mm-hmm.
And then the apothecary guy, the apothecary chaplain. And you get all of that in that box. And I'm like, why would you not just buy as blood claws? That's who it is. Why would you not just buy 2 of those boxes, man? It's such a great value. I'm gonna have to see if because Isaac bought 2 and Brooks bought 2, so I'll have to see if one of them will sell me their limited edition codex. I might dabble in them. I've been wanting to do a Marine Army, so.
Well, I mean, that seems like a great Marine Army. Yeah, I was gonna hang up Dark Angels. I was like, I'm done with you guys, but then they came out with that, and they're like, the Lion can do this now, and I was like,
broken.
What? Yeah, no.
Yeah.
That is a broken detachment. Picking up the Lion at the start of my command phase, just to drop him at the end of my movement phase. wherever I want.
It's so stupid, man.
It's so awesome. Like, yes,
It's so
please.
stupid. I
Who
hate
does
it,
that?
man.
The lion
Lionel
now.
Johnson
Yeah, they changed one of his abilities, so he just pick him up in your start your command phase, in
and deep
your
strike him.
reinforcement same, deep strike him right there, wherever you want.
You can just deep strike him every turn
hmm
if you don't want to move him.
Or you could just, wait for, to rapid the
Rapid
next turn.
Enos.
Yep.
Yep. And he's got fight first, so there's no real risk of him getting stuck somewhere.
Yep.
Yeah, he's a
So,
nuisance, man.
I mean, that just looked beautiful to me, and I was like, okay, I thought I was going to hang these guys up, but
Yeah,
nope.
I'm really excited for Brooks because I think he's going to run that detachment for Feel No Pain.
Wow, really? That's going to suck for me.
Yeah.
Getting through that.
They just dropped a new detachment. What is it, like From the Rock or something like that? Or
Yeah, let me look it up real quick.
For who?
they just for
For
Dark
the
Angels.
Dark Angels.
They just came out with a Tyranid, Dark Angels, Chaos Space Marines, and I think Tau.
Wrath of the Rock, yeah.
Yeah, Wrath of the Rock.
Chaos, Tau, and
Tyranids.
Tyranids, yeah. Tyranids.
Yeah, they got a Tyranid's got a deep strike focused one around like Turbogons and Ravners and stuff. So,
Right.
but yeah, like
and,
the way it works is like so infantry and mounted have old transhuman, which is just like going to be most of the army, where they're just -1 to wound if you're a higher strength. So everything in the army is just -1 to be wound. And then they do something with OC. I think it's is it a strat or is it just an army rule that like lets them add 1 OC to everything in the unit?
And for
So
those
they're
of
just
you
a pain
who
in the
haven't
butt.
caught on
it's a
yet,
strat,
this
I
is a
think.
40K episode.
Oh, sorry, yeah. Look, hey, the balance slate just dropped like today or 2 days ago, whatever.
Yeah. So, I was looking at that. Looking at the Tyranids, looked a little interesting. I saw some pretty good lists coming out of the Tyranids data. This new
Data slate.
new data slate. Yeah, I don't know why I can't think of data slate.
Well, so for your Thousand Suns, because you said that's what you're wrapping up right now.
Yeah.
And Ultramarines, what's the thing you're the most excited to get done and play with out of those?
Honestly, I'm really excited to get the Thousand Suns.
Just in general.
Yeah, like if I could get that army done and actually start playing with it, because I've yet to play with that army. I've held it for over a year, I think. I kind of just put them away, and I was like, I'll get to them when I get to them. And then we took a break from 40K for a while, and now we're coming back, and I'm like, with their release that they came out with, I was like, yeah, they're pretty good now.
Nice.
So I've been trying to get them up and running. They are the army I am trying to take to Flying Monkey.
Nice. Cool. Okay.
So
Awesome. Well, sounds like you've got a lot on your table there to finish, but you sound like you're making the most progress out of the three of us. So getting some stuff done, getting whole armies done. That's pretty sweet. So cool.
all right, what about you? What do you got on the table?
Man, too much. Right now it's all about War Machine. I've just got back from another GT, so I've done 7 GTs this year for 40K. That is a big old nasty spider on my foot.
And 3 of them were in the last 3 weeks.
Yeah, hang on a second here. That motherfucker's dead.
What kind of spider was it?
It was something big and brown. So, yeah. Anyways, sorry about that. So yeah, 7 GTs. The last 3 weekends have been one. I went to Owns GT down at Game HQ. Then I went to the Dallas Open, and then I went to a tournament in Tulsa, Rumble and Route 66. Man, Dallas Open, I'm gonna have to go to that every year because like that was the coolest thing ever. The esports arena, badass, the coolest freaking venue I've ever been in for a tournament ever. I mean, they've got giant televisions showing off the top table, so everybody in the entire hall can see the top table going on. They had TVs with like, I mean, we're talking about like TVs like as big as my room, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like huge. And then like TVs showing off the missions and like the layout you're playing and stuff like that. And like, it was, dude, it was so cool. 8 rounds is a lot. So I would probably take a a quicker to play army. Like I took knights, so I'd probably want to take something like knights again every year because it's just exhausting. But it was badass, dude. I 100% want to go again. I went with Paul, one of our teammates on the Scions, and he actually bought like $1,000 worth of Tyranids
So crazy.
because he was like it was funny because I would finish my games in like an hour and a half, and I'd just be walking around, hanging out, talking to people, relaxing, and I'd come up and he went to time like almost every game, and he was like, "Dude, I hate this." He's like, we're doing 8 rounds. I'm gonna need an army that plays quicker. This is ridiculous. So he's
That's
gonna
what I'm
start
saying,
trying
Mike. You'll be only playing knights. You won't have to. You can walk around, have a beer.
Man, that ain't. I promise you, that ain't how I play anyway. But so, just to give you some history on Paul, when we were playing Flesh and Blood and going around and doing stuff, he always played Oldham, right? And he went to time every fucking round in Flesh and Blood too. So, Paul, let's
That's
not
just
do
the
that
way.
with Tyranids.
Let's not do that with Tyranids. Paul's gonna listen to this episode.
I'm
He's
sure
gonna
that's
talk.
why I
He's
said
gonna
it.
talk about our
He
fit
knows what
too.
I'm saying.
He's going like pure monsters though. He's gonna have like
Yeah, he's gonna play
3
Crusher.
norm. Yeah.
Yeah. He's gonna have like 15 units, but they're all gonna be monsters.
Yeah.
So it should be pretty quick games. Anyhow's it. So yeah, it's been pretty busy because I GTs and then I've been working at the store, and then we've had a lot of releases and stuff, and so I just get home and I'm just kind of drained, and then trying to like run War Machine and 40K and everything. So this was my first weekend that I actually had to like actually get some hobbying done, and I've been working on War Machine. My goal is to get all the War Machine I own and all the Trench Crusade I own painted this month, so I can focus the next 2 to 3 months on my next 40K army, which I haven't decided yet, so I can take it to Flying Monkey Con. And then that's my goal, is to just get all my side games out of the way so I can just go and play and enjoy them with painting. And then I'll probably squeeze in a couple of Infinity models that I've had sitting on my desk for a while too, so I can just get back into playing that because I've missed Infinity for the last 3 weekends as well because it's on Sundays, and I have a tournament to run tomorrow. But so this month is going to be basically catch up on all my more smaller games so I can focus on a 40K army for the next 3 months, so before Flying Monkey happens.
Sounds good.
But anyways, that's pretty much everything that's been going on. I think the thing I'm the most excited about from all of this is to finish painting this guy, this giant pig that has machine guns for arms. Like those aren't.
Is that Bebop or Rocksteady from
That's
Teenage
it.
Mutant
It is, yeah.
Man, he's changed a lot since my day.
He grown up. So and he's not holding those machine guns like that. Literally, those are his
He's one of
arms.
those guys from Angry Birds.
There it is.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
I should have painted him green. All right. Well, that was the longest on the table we've ever done. So let's get into what this topic of this episode is about. John had a really good point with this month is mental health, men's mental health month. We're running our GT Feel No Pain as well at the end of this month, which is all going to Men's Health charity for Movember. All the proceeds are going to that. So John thought it'd be a cool idea to talk about mental health in this episode and kind of how to achieve a good mental health, a positive mental health, kind of like game life balance as a gamer. So, John, I'm gonna let you kind of lead the way here. But is there any reason specific that you wanted to have this episode topic, or is it just kind of like it felt fitting?
It just felt fitting, we were discussing, what we should talk about, and I was like, well, with this the Feel No Pain and everything coming up, we've tried to sit there and talk about this over and over again about Feel No Pain's right around the corner, and I was like, well, why don't we just take some time and discuss, some of the things that we have to deal with, and we have like a few couple topics here that I think will help address some things when it comes to of course, like you said, the balancing. So
Yeah, game life balance is important. I know a lot of people in our hobby can struggle with that. Gamer dads, right? That's kind of the average guy. I feel like that plays these games is, a family man kind of guy that's just trying to enjoy his hobby at the same time. And if anything, if you get anything from this episode, I hope you just get that we understand. Like I don't understand that exactly, but these two goofballs definitely have their plates full with stuff all the time, being fathers, and also trying to juggle the hobby and work and everything. So if you take anything away from this episode, I hope you just take away that you're not alone. And I also want to point out that it's not just men, right? This is just for gamers in general. So um, you know, most time that is men, but this is beneficial to anybody who's trying to game and juggle, what's going on in their life. So,
right.
um, Mike, do you have anything you want to say before we start?
Oh no, I think just probably to jump into it. I think that was a good segue into what our first topic is going to be.
Okay, so to achieve game life balance, I feel like it's important for us to kind of know why do we play games, and I kind of wanted us to go over because it's almost like if you're playing games for certain things, that's going to help you kind of lay out the plan of how to juggle that, right? Like, so I think if we all kind of went over why we play games, I'll use myself as an example, and talk about mine and explain how I juggle that. Because this also applies to people who don't have, wives and kids and everything too. I have burnout all the time. Mike makes fun of me continuously for my burnout. I don't remember what it was. One day you said something about like, who's that? What's that charred up crust over there in the corner or whatever? And it's oh, that's just true. Like, because
He's just
I
burnt
thought
up.
of I feel there's a cartoon somewhere that I can't think of, but it's like a chicken that gets hit by lightning and it's just the chicken's feet that's left. Every time I think about that, that's what I think of. Is when I'm getting burned out, I think of one of those chickens that gets electrocuted. So, to me, I like to go to tournaments. We were talking about this a little bit before the episode, and I didn't even think about how this would kind of filter into this, but tournaments are what I enjoy the most out of gaming, as well as like weekly play is kind of a part of that. That's kind of a given for a lot of us. But so to help prevent burnout, and I'm not the best at doing this, I feel like the thing I have to keep in mind is pacing myself on time between events, and justifying travel, justifying expenses, because finances can definitely impact that mental health for sure. You add a lot of strain to yourself if you don't have time to enjoy other aspects of your life or afford them. And so for me, like the three GTs I just did might not be a great example, but the only reason I was really able to pull that off was because two of them were in my backyard. They were in Oklahoma. So and then they also a couple of those were I was invited to with the tickets paid for. So I could really kind of justify going to those events. I normally wouldn't try to do something like that. I would try to do like a every other month, go to a big tournament like that, then do like maybe a 1 day. And so trying to plan out which ones mean more to you and giving yourself breathing room in between. I think for me, as somebody that like that's why I play war games is for tournaments. That's something I have to keep in mind is how often can I realistically go to these tournaments and not get burnt out. Um,
Mhm.
so
Seems like not
John,
very often.
what up?
It doesn't get burnt out. Mhm.
I
No,
don't get
no, he
burnt out
does get
often.
burnt out.
Yeah.
You said how often can you go and or how many times can you go before you get burnt out? It doesn't seem like very often because you get burnt out, you come back and like
Comes back, has to recoup.
Well,
Bam, goes back again.
that's also how I recover from burnout is bitching and moaning. I have to let the oven's too
you
hot,
must be
so I
burned
gotta
out
let it.
24/7.
Dude, I'm burnt out on life. Let me tell you what. It's got something about it. Oh man, you're burnt out
All
24/7.
right, let's
John,
talk
why do
real
you why do
quick.
you play war games?
To me, it's just something I feel like, uh, being a new dad and everything for a year and a half. It's just something I still have from just before I had a kid. Something I still get to do. I don't get to play video games as much and everything, and I like to go out and be away from it all. If I'm stuck at home, I always feel like I have to do something around the house or something like that. So just getting out, meeting people that are having fun, playing also war games. That's my big thing. You know, so and I had it before, and it's just like it's still
So
something I love to
it's an
do.
escape,
Yeah,
basically,
yeah,
right? Yeah.
it really is. It is an escape. It gives me time to recoup and you know, because like you said, going from job to home, and with me having a 1.5 year old, it's like, okay, I'm in dad mode till I go to bed, and then I have to think about what has to be done for the next day. So once they're in bed, it's like laundry, crap like that, dishes, food prep, blah blah blah. And it's like, okay, when do I find time for whatever I want to do? And
Yeah.
that's
So
where the war
really,
games come in.
so you gain an escape and you gain some me time. That's like kind of the
Yeah.
big reason for it. So how do you ensure that you? I mean, obviously it's not perfect, right? But how do you ensure that you get that time?
Um, I really try to just it's spent a lot of time doing some prep and stuff to ensure that at night I can do whatever I need to for my hobby wise to bring to the game, and making sure that I'm prepping as much as I can to go to tournaments and stuff. Like the grand narrative. We're talking about it. 5 days away from the family. It's like, okay, well, what can I do to prepare for this? Not only on the hobby wise, but family wise, to let my wife know that I'm not trying to just run off and not have anything planned. So we have like a couple mini vacations and a big Disney vacation at the end of the year, um, just so they know I'm doing a little bit of both.
Gotcha. So you try to get all your ducks in a row before you
Yeah,
you set off, and that could happen from a grand level like the grand narrative, or even just to a weekly level, right? A micro level where, before you're going to be going out Wednesday to play 40K. So what do you need to have done before Wednesday every week, right?
right.
And
Yeah.
and that's what you do. Okay. So it's a lot about communication and planning. So Mike, why do you play war games? What do you gain from playing games?
Well, I started playing games. I mean, I don't know, when I was about 11 years old or so, and started doing a lot of role playing games and a lot of strategy games. And, what we had back then was Risk. And as I grew older, we ended up, getting into Magic, and it became a different outlet for strategic thought that I wasn't getting anyplace else in my life, right? So, being able to think like a Magic player does or a strategy gamer does is a different thought process than going to work and being an IT guy or being a shop owner or something like that. They all have their different elements, but when you're up against someone, and like whether you're playing chess or whatever it is, you're evaluating so many things, and I think that's pretty cool. And so that's a strategic outlet for me that I don't get anyplace else, because I don't play video games or any of that kind of stuff. My wife doesn't really play games, but I'm not really into board games anymore or anything like that. I don't role play or anything, so miniatures is it, even though I don't play very often. I will say, for those that are listening, I have played 3 Trench Crusade games over the last month, and I have won them all. So just throwing that out there in case someone might
He
be
just
listening.
wants to say that he's better than any of
Yeah. Then
he's
No,
better
he's
than
beating
any
the
of you, and he's
guy.
challenging all of you. He's challenging every listener. Come beat his ass in Trench Crusade.
oh my
Yeah,
god.
I just did it for Chris's benefit in case he ever listens. But
Yeah, I'm sure he's gonna.
so uh, at any rate, and so I want to start playing more games so I can do other things. I think it's cool to have different systems and think about things across these systems, but really it all boils down to the same thing. I mean, you're deploying whatever your strategy is and using whatever your tactics are to fulfill your strategy, hopefully. But I mean, the rule sets are just the confines you have to play within, and I think that's kind of cool too, right? You get a different sandbox to play in each time you change game. But one of the other things that I think is really cool for me is I find like painting and modeling like a wellness activity. Much like
Mm.
some people would would journal or meditate or draw or paint or something like that. I've always found it very therapeutic and cathartic to sit down and just put models together. So I love putting models together. I've never liked painting them very much. I now enjoy the thought of painting. I've taken some painting lessons at Adepticon this last year, which was cool, and that stuff. And so, like I said, as we were uh, doing the intro there, I'm really excited just to paint more, and I find it just a great creative outlet because I find myself as a creative person, but I can't draw, and I'm not a musician or anything like that. But I can hold a paintbrush as well as the next guy. Maybe I can't, use it as well right now, but that's something that I think I can learn.
Hmm.
And you know, um, Now I'm older and I can't see as well, but I did get new glasses, and so I just find it very fulfilling and satisfying to sit in here and put on the club channel on my iTunes and listen to club techno music and paint models.
Fair
Yeah.
enough. Yeah, I mean, and like that. So, I mean, a lot of this comes down to, I think, from both of you guys. And I mean, and again, you could say it from my angle too. Like when I go to tournaments, it's kind of like getting your time, right? You need to still be able to live your life, despite what's going on in the world and around you, and your ecosystem and your home and everything like that, your job. Like it's important to have that me time, and to scratch that. I really like how you put that. Like it kind of has an air of community into it as well, Mike. When you were talking about getting to like, exercise your brain muscles with like strategic brain muscles, like that. It's also really rewarding to be in a community of people who also at least want to try and do that. And don't get me wrong, there's definitely some people that are not good at exercising their brain muscles or don't have any. But but um, but it is cool to see, to be around people like that and getting I mean, you have to have an opponent, right? Like, how else are you gonna get to set up the game, right? Otherwise, you get lonely at home doing simulations. I don't know, like, and then yeah, I mean, I've always found painting therapeutic as well. Like when I'd get home from a
Hmm.
crappy day, I would just start painting,
That's fair.
and you just forget about what's going on
And
around
something
you.
else I don't do whenever I play games, like I don't play with assholes. I don't act like an asshole. I don't argue over rules and stuff and all that
Hmm.
kind of junk. If we're down to that, man, like you can have it or whatever. I'm not gonna put up with bullshit from people trying to be crummy to me because they're losing or winning a game or whatever. And I'll just quit. And I don't have any problem with it. But I'm just not gonna. I'm not there to waste my time with that kind of stuff. I never have been, and I just not going to put up with it. So that's one of the things I game to enjoy what I'm doing. I don't get paid to play games. I'm not going to be a professional Warhammer player. I'm not going to make $1 million playing Warhammer. So like, why am I wanting to act that way or let somebody else act that way towards me? And so that's just one
Right.
of those things. That I think is
Fair.
unfortunate in some of these games that we do play is that a lot of people take the game far too seriously and act crummy towards other people and you know make it a
Yeah,
bad time for people.
and I mean, and honestly, like, guard yourself from that. Like, if like Mike, what Mike was just saying, right, is like, it's your time. Don't let somebody else, don't let somebody else uh, control how you're using your time.
Right.
So if they're gonna make it a bad time, then just take that away from them. Leave. Go do something else. Like, yeah, it's not their time to control. So okay, so we're all kind of into gaming for basically personal time and mental exercising community. And I think that's important to have. Like there's a conversation of third spaces that exist right now. A lot I've seen, where like since COVID, third spaces seem to be dying. Which for those that maybe don't know what I'm referencing by that, like if you look at like the sitcom Friends, right? Where are they at most of the time, right? There's three places. They're either in their apartments, they're at work, or they're at the coffee shop. and the coffee shop is that third space. And people have, I don't know if it's even true necessarily that third spaces are gone. I mean, there definitely are a lot that are gone because COVID was a financial struggle for a lot of businesses and stuff. But um, people aren't geared towards going out anymore. And so we find people who I think are in these kind of like situations of mental turmoil or stress or whatever you want to call it because they don't have anywhere to go. Um, and they go to work, they go home, and there's no third space. They got into a bad habit of either not going out to a third space, their third space is gone, whatever it is, right? That third space is elusive now. And that's why I'm so thankful for places like Unplugged, Home Unplugged, because it is a third space, right? Now, uh, for me, it's basically like my only space. That's what it feels like. But because
Bring a pillow and start sleeping
I
there.
sleep there, I work there, I game there, but that's
You
okay.
better not be sleeping there.
It's not on the clock. It's okay.
So that's one of the things, about it being a third space and stuff like that, and people being assholes and whatever. But like, you never know why the other person's there, right? So
Yep.
maybe they're escaping something else in their life. I've got a number of customers that come in and they have, tax cards where they don't pay sales tax on their stuff, which means they are an injured veteran, and so a lot of those guys, and they'll never come in and play games or whatever, but they'll come in and they'll buy models and they'll buy paint and they'll do those kind of things. And that's one of the things that helps them with their PTSD is to go home and model and paint and, escape whatever their reality in their head is to do that kind of stuff. And, you never know who you're playing across the table if they had a horrible day, if they left, an abusive home or whatever, they just needed to get to the game shop and play a game or whatever the case is. And then, you got some rules lawyer or some sore loser that's over there giving them a bad time. And so, yeah,
Yep.
it's just not one of the things that I'm overly tolerant of, but you never know why the other person's there either.
Yeah. I mean, that's honestly just something that I feel like everyone in the world today I wish would think of more is, normalizing. No, there's like normalize just thinking of other people, right?
Right.
Like nobody really seems to do that anymore. If they ever did, I don't know. But I mean, like I just don't see it a lot. Like smiling at somebody, complimenting somebody, those shirts that say, oh man, what was it? It's like, oh man, I just had it. Those shirts that'll say like, it's free to be kind, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
those are all cheesy and campy, and people want to make fun of them or whatever. But like, I hate that. I hate that that's made fun of or that's not, like that's not masculine or whatever, right? Like, no, man, fuck that. Like, I love that idea, that concept of like, it is totally free to be kind. Think about the other person. You don't
Right.
know what's going on in their life,
Well, it's totally
right? Like,
natural to be comfortable in being nice to people,
for sure.
I mean, yeah,
It's masculine to choose whatever you want to do
yeah,
and
sure.
own it, right? Like, so and so like the mockery behind that is just a little in poor taste because you don't know what those people are going through, right? Like,
Right.
and I mean, I think about how many of those people that you just talked about, Mike, that have those cards that like I didn't ever think of it that way. I've never once had one of those people because I now work at the store. I see that a lot. I never once thought about that. I'm like, oh, that's why they have that card.
hmm
Yeah.
And like now I've never been crummy to them, but like I could 100% see a guy at a gas station being a total asshole to somebody like that and not getting a hint, right? You know what I mean? Like that's just be considerate and think about that. I was talking to one of our one of my coworkers at the store, and they'd mentioned, they heard the story about um, you're there every day, right? Working at the store, you're there every day. For someone else, um, that might be the one day they come in that month, and it's a trip for them. It's something to be excited about. It's a celebration, right? it's
Right.
it's so just because you're there every day and you're bored with it or whatever or grumpy or this or that or whatever, right? It's just another day to you. For them, it might be the best day of their month. They're getting to buy that model kit they want. You know what I mean?
Right.
That
Or they're getting into the
they
hobby and they're finally finding something to deal with a lot of their issues.
yeah.
Yeah.
So you got to think about that kind of stuff. Now, that also comes down to like when you're at a tournament. If you're at a tournament with somebody, that might be their first tournament ever, and
Mhm.
they don't. Who cares if they're playing wrong or if they're stumbling around or whatever? They probably don't even care if they win or lose. They just want to be there, and you know what I mean. So just like I see people all the time kind of roll their eyes or get butthurt about having to play new players at tournaments. Get over yourself. I love that they're there because that shows that the hobby's growing, and that's great for the hobby. Like,
Mhm.
let alone the fact that you should just be considerate of other people's, mental health and them just being there. What if they what if they took the day off to be there? What if they skipped out on going to, see their family or whatever to go to this tournament? Like, come on, man, it's their time it's just as much as it's your time.
Right. Always, always be nice, no matter whether you're winning or losing. And I'm sure that's going to be a topic down the road. But especially when I'll say like whenever I went to the GT, I was always just trying to have fun, whether I was winning or losing or anything like that. I was like, hey, this will be fun. I think I was playing the Custodes player and I took a picture of it. I'm pretty sure I still have it. And I was like, I'm just gonna charge Gilliman in front of all these Custodes. I'm losing
Just
anyways.
gonna
Why not
do
just
it.
have fun? Let's see.
Yeah,
Let's
that's
do
awesome.
this. And he was
That's
like,
awesome.
I gotta take a picture of this too. And I'm like, yeah.
It's so cool, right? Like, man, I'll tell you one of the coolest things to have happen at a tournament is, I'll give a shout out to one of our teammates. He went to a kill team tournament today and he got best sport. And,
Hmm.
that is such a cool award to get because that's not something that you can really earn by being good at something. That's your character. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like that's literally you as a person are fun to play against. You as a person are an absolute treat to have around. I wish more people would be like you. Like think about how much pride there is involved in that. Like that's I would be honored to have that. I've won a couple of those in my time, and it's the most rewarding thing to be told. Like I was at this last tournament in Tulsa, and this guy, we were having an incredibly close game. It was Imperial Knights versus Imperial Knights, and there was a moment where I mean it all came down to a dice roll for me, and I would probably win the game.
Hmm.
And I failed. I failed a re-rollable 6-inch charge, and I was like, all right, well that's the end of the game. And then we finished the game, we played it out, and he was like, I think this is the best game of Warhammer I've ever had, and you're without a doubt my favorite opponent. And I was like, and like that you can't you can't take that away. You know what I
That's
mean?
fair.
There's no data slate that comes out and Drew got nerfed because he's drat Drew new data slate. Drew becomes an asshole. I mean, I guess technically a data slate could definitely make me become an asshole, but but you get what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
There's no like that is all within your control. You could just be a good person,
Yeah.
right?
You
Like
should
be
always,
fun to play
yeah, always
against.
try to be the fun person to play against. I'm pretty sure, and I can't remember if I made this was strictly a joke. I can't remember if I told Paul this or if I came home and told my wife. But when we went to that GT, I was like, man, I think I could have won best, sportsmanship, but my first opponent just tabled me so fast he didn't even get to know my name
Ah,
because I got to go against Cam first round.
What was Cam
that
playing?
was Cam's playing
And
Eldar.
yeah, he was playing Eldar. He
Yeah.
just wiped me out so fast. I was like, I don't even think he remembered my name.
Oh man, we talked
My game
about
was
that.
quicker than your game.
Yeah, right? Like, oh wow, how did John get done? Oh my god, dude, it was so good,
Yeah, I believe
man.
I went over to Paul and he was still playing. I was just like, yeah, Paul. I
That's the end of that.
just died
I mean,
laughing.
Cam got like best overall, I think, so
Yeah, yeah.
makes sense. We were talking about that at Tulsa, and he's like, man, are you serious? That was his first GT? And I was like, yeah. He was like, oh, dude, I feel like I've seen him around for a long time. And I was like, well, yeah, he's never really gone to tournaments though. He's like, all right, well, shit. He felt kind of bad about it. So,
There
I
was
gotta
nothing.
run to
I
the
just, I
uh,
kitchen.
remember.
huh?
I gotta run to the kitchen.
All
Good
right.
Hey,
luck. No,
what are you drinking, Drew?
Monster. It's already gone.
That's what you
I ain't
told us.
drinking. Yeah.
You gotta get some of your Johnny Walker.
No, I'm almost out. Oh man. Well, we'll move on
Well,
here into the next question because I think otherwise we might keep just rambling on here. Um.
it's gonna be as long as
Well,
our last episode.
I know it, man. I know it. I'm already looking at time. Well, we got really into the weeds on the
What's on
data
the table?
slates. Yeah. Well, because like, dang, a lot of stuff happened.
A lot did
This
happen.
is
I
like
mean, a
the
lot.
biggest update of the year for 40K. So,
Yeah, we got these new mission decks. Let's see.
oh
For those
yeah.
who can't see, I'm holding up the new mission deck for chapter approved.
Yep.
So,
Sponsored by Chapter Approved.
which we did confirm are the cards are the same size as the Brian Nexus.
No one was curious about that other than you, John.
Other than me, I was like, I, I don't know. I could have swore maybe they were a little different size, but I'm like crazy.
So let's move right along here to the next question or next point here. So kind of gone over why we all play these games and some of the biggest perks to to why people and just in general play games. What are some pitfalls to look out for when trying to devote time to the hobby?
Mike, you want to go first, or you want me to?
So I think one of the pitfalls that people fall into is that if they're new to the hobby, that they get in, right, and they see it and they don't go slow, and then they want to be competitive immediately, and then they miss all of the cool stuff, you know, like I'm not a lore guy. I'm just not. But they miss all of the lore, like why the game is what it is. They miss a lot of the hobby aspect of stuff that again I find very therapeutic and like a wellness activity. They miss that because they want to get their stuff just painted on so quick and just so they can get to a tournament. They try to jump into tournament play because they're trying to fill a void of you know competitiveness at at a different level. Maybe they came from I don't know competitive video games or something like that, or maybe they didn't play sports and this is their outlet for wanting to be, you know, they weren't the star quarterback, so now they want to be the, you know, bully that
Star
beats up
Smite Sports
on
player.
someone at the
Mm-hmm.
table or something. But just those things, I mean, just kind of slow down and enjoy it as you go. Don't try to push things and be overly competitive. And I think, Chris and I were talking last week when we were playing Trench Crusade. And he goes, Mike, how do you build your list? I said, man, I don't know. I just put models that equal the points that we need that I think look cool. And, that's just kind of my approach. I don't want to take an army that just auto loses, but I also don't want to take an army that just auto wins that I don't like the aesthetic of or the play style or something like that either. And
Yeah.
I think that people fall into these pit traps because they want a metagame,
Yep.
and I was a Magic player for decades, so I'll use that group since I was or am part of it. But taking a lot of Magic players out of a competitive Magic scene and putting them into a tabletop gaming scene, they tend to be overly competitive very quickly and they miss all of the coolness of the game because they just want to play and win a game. And
Yeah.
I think that that's a pretty big pitfall to not just enjoy the game for what it is versus just trying to be overly competitive and stuff like that. And you don't have to um, find a group or be in a group that does that. There are plenty of people that just want to, play beer and pretzel games because again, that's their fun outlet or therapy or whatever it is. And so, you know, just be aware of that and you know uh, enjoy it as opposed to making it a job because when it becomes a job it really is less fulfilling if you do poorly and those sorts of things as opposed to what the game can
The
actually give you.
yeah the rocket up can
Yeah.
crashes crashes fall, right? Yeah, crashes far. So no, it's funny you say that because you're 100% right. But I was actually going to say something that I also see a lot that is the complete opposite, which is I feel like a pitfall for people is hesitance
Hey,
into
that's
junk.
my pitfall. Hold on there.
Oh, you want to go? All right, go
No, no,
ahead.
you're good. You're
No,
good.
go ahead, John.
I mean, I feel like that's my pitfall. Is as you point out already, Cam's like, man, I feel like I've saw that guy forever, and it's like, yeah, but I just never felt like I was ever good enough or anything like that to go to a tournament, or I did a 1-day tournament one time, and I looked at people's models, and I was like, man, these are beautiful models. I wish mine looked just as good, and I felt embarrassed about how terrible my models felt and looked, even though I've spent time in them. So that was my big pitfalls. Is I was hesitant to go out and do more things because don't smile like that.
It's so hard not to be mean, but this is a positive episode. So
Yeah. So be positive.
yeah,
Tell me my shit looks nice.
your bases looked great when you showed them to me earlier. By the way,
They
I
were
was
all
like,
fucking blurry. Yeah, thanks.
I said, send me a photo. Damn. Dang, they
That
looked
blurry
good.
picture, guys, looked fucking amazing.
Dang, I was trying to be genuine with your ass.
About hesitance, though, so the thing about it is, I don't think you should be hesitant to get out and play and get out and try and do things. I just think you should take your time and move into things. I don't think you should. I don't think you should move from Magic to build a 2,000 point, meta list of orcs when you really like Space Marines or you really like, Eldar or something. And so,
Right.
like, say you really like Tau. I mean, Tau's not in a great spot right now, I think, right?
Oh no, they probably are now.
Yeah, they're probably about to be one
Okay.
of the best armies in the game. But yes,
Yeah.
up until like this weekend, you're right.
Okay, so
They were without a doubt the most complicated army to play. That I haven't picked up my Tau all 10th edition because I just don't want to learn how to play them. So
Yeah,
if you had somebody coming from card games, though, like let's just say Tau had a 55 win rate, and they're going straight into Tau, like you're saying, Mike, they would have a horrible fucking time.
so
Is that kind of what you're getting at?
yeah, but like, I mean, it's okay to get into a game, but um, there are places, and Unplug's one of those, but you can get a game of different sizes. You can get a combat patrol game. There's always a slow grow league coming around the corner, or a combat patrol league, or something along those lines. There's
even
different
Kill
ways
Team.
to play. You don't have to jump in and go, balls deep immediately just to, get the same satisfaction as you were trying to get out of Magic. I mean, one of the coolest things about Magic to me was theory crafting and deck building and stuff, and the most favorite time I ever had was playing in back when Mirrodin came out. Was playing standard around that time, and I built a deck that no one else had any exposure to. It was a land destruction deck, and it was fast, and it was mean, and it was great, and it worked real cool. And that gave me a lot of satisfaction because I got to develop that myself and do those things. And I wasn't playing a meta deck at the time, and so there's just a lot of satisfaction and fulfillment that can come with not just jumping in and doing what everybody else is doing just because they say it's the best, but for you to research and do your own work and figure out why you're playing and those sorts of things. Now, if you just want to win and you want to get a meta deck or meta army and learn how to play and whatever, well, I guess that's cool too, and you can do whatever you want.
Yeah. But and what you're talking about is like there's a happy medium, right? There's somewhere in between. Because I see what you're talking about and what we're talking about all the time, where people like, John, you mentioned it specifically on the paint. I see people all the time that are like, I don't want to come up to the store and play with my army. It's not painted yet. It's like, who cares? Like, I mean, I get wanting to have your stuff painted. Don't stop wanting to have your stuff painted, but you come up and play, dude. And I actually feel like playing this will lead into our next point, unless anybody has anything they need to add on any pitfalls that we're missing here for devoting time to the hobby. No.
No, going to your painting though, we had somebody come up, not this week, but last week when I was there with all of the Emperor's Children. They were all gray and stuff, but I didn't care. They looked awesome.
Yeah.
I just had a game against Isaac that week, but I would have played that guy.
Yeah.
If Isaac already
Oh
had a
yeah,
game.
yeah. That was
I
Rich, and
don't.
you missed his game. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I couldn't think of his name.
No, you're good.
But yeah.
Yeah, and see, like, and I love that. I love it. You got a new army, you want to try it out, come and play. I don't care if the army is isn't painted yet. Like, get to painting it eventually, but like, just come play. Just come hang out with us. Like, enjoy the hobby how you want to enjoy the hobby. And so the one of the ways that I feel like that you can actually prevent burnout from the hobby, and now I mean hobby in a grander scheme, as in like gaming and all of it, is by enjoying all aspects to the hobby. So that's actually, the next question I was going to ask was, what are some ways to prevent hobby burnout? I'm going to use Warhammer as kind of an example here, mainly just because though Warhammer is the only one that I know can do all of these entirely. Um, the way you can prevent hobby burnout, in my opinion, is by enjoying all aspects of the hobby. So if
Mhm.
I'm just burnt out from painting, I will go play more. If I am burnt out from playing, I'll go back to painting more. If I'm burnt out on both, I'll go listen to audiobooks or watch Warhammer Plus TV shows. And I get reinvigorated every time I go do one of those things. Like, I'll go play a game and be like War Machine. I really haven't been wanting to paint my War Machine stuff at all lately. But then we started our Journeyman League on Monday, and I was watching everybody play their games, and I was like, man, I want to go get my War Machine painted. And I painted 2 models like that week, and I was like, awesome. And I've got the rest of my models now airbrushed up. And so, if you only focus really, really hard on one part of the hobby, I feel like you're gonna get burnt out.
Mhm.
But if you I mentioned 40K because there's lore, painting, and gameplay, but there's at least painting and gameplay for all of these. If you focus on one, it'll kind of let you recharge for the other. So, but what are some ways that you guys prevent hobby burnout?
For me, and I'll use probably 40K the most on this because it's probably what burns me out the most. Just like the Thousand Suns, just doing the gold trim over and over and over and over and over, and getting bored of that crap. I will either switch armies, I'll switch to a different game, or I'll just take a break for a week. It's just what I have to do. I'll be like, I won't paint this week. Uh, Puts me behind on other things, and it hurts, but it also gives me time to recoup to get back into painting. Because otherwise, I'll be like, oh, I can't do this anymore. I'm usually okay on the playing aspect. I don't usually get burnt out on that so far, but the painting the same model over and over is usually where I start to get burnt out. I love painting characters more than whole armies.
Fair enough. Mike,
So,
how do you prevent hobby burnout?
so I don't get to do it very much, but like I don't really get burned out on doing some of this stuff because I just don't get to do it all the time, and I enjoy the painting now, and so each thing I do is different. Like I'm painting Trench Crusade now, and all of my guys are going to be different. Like I'll have two dudes that are in the same scheme, but the werewolf is significantly different than the artillery witch, who'll be different than, you know, uh, my, um, I don't know, I forget the guy's name. Yeah. Anyway, the assassin looking dude that I got that Deep Strikes in,
Mm,
whoever he is, I
Mm-hmm.
forgot his name.
I can't
Uh,
remember his name either.
Starts with the C.
The
Commando.
Calexis? Oh, Commando.
Yeah.
For Trench Crusade. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So, but having multiple games, I think, is very cool because the aesthetic is completely different, right? So that's one thing. But unlike John, who is doing all these Thousand Sons, I'm just never gonna pick an army that has like a very uniform scheme. Like I cannot imagine the people when I used to play like in in Warhammer Second Edition that would play like Cadians, and stuff, and they'd have 100 dudes that all look the same, and there is zero chance that I paint like that. I want, well, like John enjoys painting characters because they're different, they're cool, and they have unique, attributes to each one of them. I'm always going to pick armies like, for instance, Eldar. I would have a unit of warp spiders and fire dragons and whatever other
What was if you had 2 units of fire dragons? Would they look exactly like the same, or would you to keep in this color scheme, or would you change it?
No, I'd probably change it. They'd probably be different. But I just wouldn't. I just wouldn't pick an army that just. So I built a corn army once, and it just had a pile of bloodletters, and it just like, I don't know that I can do 50 bloodletters that are just red dudes. I don't know that I can do that. And it's super easy, but that's just not my thing.
Not your jam.
So what I would do is just keep it fun and different, and not have to do the same thing that becomes monotony over and over again.
That's fair. Yeah, no, that's why 40K was my example. Like I said, if we were playing War Machine or Halo was a good one because I got to see the Halo from Drew's. Each one of his characters were different, unique, and I love that aspect. Just like War Machine, like, okay, I might have to build 3 of these models, and they look slightly different, but slightly the same. But that's it; those 3 models.
And that was something that was really cool about JEC. I mean, each one of your dudes didn't have to be even color wise, even within the same palette, right? Because they came they came from all over the universe or whatever, and they could be anything, even though they might both be minotaurs or goblins or humans or whatever they were, but they could just be whatever. And I thought that was really cool about that game, is that you could have 5 completely disparate people, and they wouldn't share any color attribute or anything else. So but
basically every hero was its own army.
But But 2 years ago, whenever I did those Wookiees for Adepticon, each one of my units was kind of a different color. I mean, they were all kind of different fur color.
Yeah.
So even
that also just makes them easier to play with.
Well, it does, and they each one were based differently. They all had different colored flowers on there, and that the color of flowers, indicated the unit that they were in, so I could keep them straight. Because I mean, one Chewbacca looks like 100 Chewbaccas. I mean, they're all the same, right? And oh well, that one's got a gun, and that one's got a sword and whatever. Yeah, cool. But they all had fur and ammo belts. And they're all, they're all just kind of the same.
Funny enough, Chewbacca is the easiest one to tell because he's got a totally different gun. That's about it.
So, but I try to just do them all different because I get lost on that too. I mean, like, I would love to build a Corn Berserkers or I don't know what it is. Well, I don't know what
Berserker
it's called.
Bomb. Berserker Bomb, where it's just
like 40
berserkers.
100 guys that are red with gold trim. I'm just not going to do it. And that is a hurdle for me, and I'm never going to be able to play the one of the armies I like more than a ton of them, just because I'm not going to do that.
Yeah. And there's no shame on any of you guys that have those. They're awesome to see. Like Justin Combs had a 160 Cadian footman army, and it was like, holy crap, dude! You hate your life.
Like, how do you do this?
Like, this episode's for you, bro. This is your time.
I have trouble painting these many, and I'm like, okay, I have one horde army, it's the Tyranids.
Yeah.
And I'm like, if I can just get through those guys, that'd be great. Those are going to be my challenge.
And that's what's kept me away from playing Tyranids for a long time too, is because the way you used to have to play them, I mean, you could have Lictors and you could have Carnifexes and you could have Hive Tyrants and all this kind of stuff, but you still had, 50 or 60 stupid gaunts termagants or hormigants or whatever, and they're all the same pose, all the same color, all the same everything. I'm like, I'm not doing it.
You know what's terrible though? I want to play that. I just don't want to paint it, but I want to play it.
Oh, well.
I know a guy
You know a guy who
who needs new shoes.
who will break himself to paint all that.
I know a guy. Oh man.
Let's talk about Burnout when you get done with that.
Yeah, we'll talk. Yeah, we'll have to redo this episode. Holy smokes! All right. So, are there any other ways you guys can think of to prevent hobby burnout? Other than, I mean, just kind of being smart about your choices and pacing.
Well, you got to make it
Yeah.
fun, right? If it's not fun, don't do it. I mean, you got to figure out what your goal is. If your goal is just to play because you hate hobbying, hire out a commission painter. I think we know one. Or use contrast paints. Learn how to use those. I mean, you can slap chop and put 2 coats of contrast paint on some bugs, and I mean, just go to town.
There's a ton of content out there for that, for sure. I mean,
and
pros doing it.
Just do whatever. Take the most time doing the thing that's the most fun, as opposed to, worrying about the other aspect that you don't like as much. And if, like you said before, and Warhammer's probably the best example, though, with Resin Beast expanding out, that's becoming more of a thing too now. But if you didn't like to play, there are so many outlets for painting Warhammer stuff now. Like, you could just paint, and you could compete in painting if you wanted to. There's just a ton of opportunity to. Now, there's only a couple of Golden Demon opportunities, but there's always, the opportunity to have best model, have a best armies on parade, all that kind of stuff.
I was going to say, every GT at least is usually an army painting. Like, you could just go for the army painting. I know plenty of people who do that they know how to play enough to just play, but they're really not there for that.
Right.
So, you're totally right. All right, well, down to the last question here, and we've kind of answered this question a little bit throughout the whole thing, but it'd be good to kind of, like, for the people listening in, to just kind of lay it out again, more structured. But how, and we'll start with Mike, then go to John, then we'll end with me here on this, but how do you make time for life and the hobby?
So I think it's like with anything else that you want to do. So I don't ever expect anybody to run my schedule. But I go to the gym every day. So I get up at 4 o'clock in the morning and I go to the gym. So I've made time to do something that's important to me to do, right? So if it's important to you, you can find time to do it. And if you have to get up at 4 in the morning in order to, read what you want to read, or journal, or meditate, or go to the gym, or do all of those things before everybody else gets up, well, that's when you need to do it,
Yeah.
And sometimes it's just having a conversation with, your spouse, partner, whoever it might be too, and like say, hey, a couple of days a week, I need an hour away to do my thing. And my thing is going to be putting models together and painting them, because everybody needs to have their recharge time, right? And so I think you just have to be able to schedule that, and whether you put it on your calendar or however you do things, but you need to schedule that for yourself and take care of those things, because it's really, when it boils down to it, if you were a guy that needed to go see a therapist, you'd make time for the hour a week or whatever it was to go see the therapist. So why is it different if you're doing yoga, or if you're painting a model, or doing something like that? You just have to make it a priority. And if it is a priority, then you'll find time to do it. And if it's not a priority, then you won't. That's one of those things. And I can see in a lot of people's lives that they take gaming and say, hey, this isn't a priority, so this needs to go by the wayside, but they're always missing something, right? So they feel like, man, work's got me down, and, home life isn't great, and all those kind of things. Well, a lot of times those things are because, your mind's not in the right spot. You need something to clear it out. And sometimes it needs to be gaming, whether it's just on the hobby side, or whether it's actually getting out of the house and going and playing a game or something like that. But people just need to make time and make it a priority to do the things that make them happy.
yeah, being happy is a priority.
Yeah,
Like that's
should always be.
what that means. Like, and you're right. People do just kind of dismiss it because it's a game,
Hmm.
but it's not any different than. I mean, Mike, you and I talked about this just last week. Whenever it was like, I was talking about something. I go to therapy, and my therapy is like $100, and I had mentioned that to a friend of mine, and they had mentioned that's crazy. That's so expensive. Blah blah blah. And I was like, yeah, but I feel great every time I go. And you
Hmm.
had mentioned, Mike, you said, yeah, you're going to spend that $100 on something else to make you happy. Does it really matter? Does it really matter where you're spending that $100 if it's to make you happy?
Well,
Like,
right, and so um, if I go eat sushi, you know, it's $100. That's what it costs me and my wife and stepdaughter to go eat sushi. It's $100. So if and that lasts for a couple of hours and you're full and you go home and whatever. But if you spend $100 on a box of dudes, that's that could be 2 or 3 weeks worth of happiness, right? Because
Hmm.
you got time to put them together, you got time to paint them, you get to play with them eventually, you get a finished product in front of you, and all these kind of things. So, I mean, again, it's just prioritization, and there's something that's so hollow about um, people denigrating, what it is we do from a hobby aspect and a game aspect versus they'll go out to the bar and think nothing about it and have $100 bar bill, but like, you spent $500 on plastic to play with, and you play with these little dolls and stuff. I mean, like, yeah, cool, yeah, go kick rocks, man. Uh,
Yeah, I
yeah,
actually get that a lot at work. People are just talked to me recently. We had a day out, and they were like, "How much do you think you spent on your hobby stuff?" And I'm like, "Oh, I've spent a couple thousand." You know, and they're like, "That's crazy," and I'm like, "Yeah, but I get to still use those things throughout weekend after weekend, week after week.
yeah,
Let's talk about what you spent on your hobby stuff and add it up. If you
yeah,
really want
and
to."
like, I mean, I have a nice car or whatever, but like, it's not like some people they want to drive a 6 Series Beamer, or they want to have a badass stereo system in their car, or they want to have 35-inch wheels, 35-inch tires rather,
Hmm.
a jacked up truck, or they want to go fishing all the time. Like, no one ever calls anybody dumb for
having
spending
a bass
money. I
boat.
mean, literally a box of Titleist Pro V1 golf balls costs $60. That's 12 balls. I'll lose 12 balls the next time I go play golf, but I will buy Pro V1s, just so we're clear. Uh, Nevertheless, um, but no one cares about that kind of stuff. It's so funny how the nerd stuff has such a stigma to it. But again, like, how many people were in line? I went to Best Buy the other day with my wife. She wanted to buy something at Best Buy, and I had
the
no
Switch
idea.
2.
What's that?
The Switch 2.
Oh my God, I had no idea it was coming out. And there were
Yeah.
people lined up around the whole damn building, and I'm like, what in the fuck are these
Yep.
people doing? And then I saw the
Yep.
sign that says the Switch 2 releases blah blah blah, and I'm like, okay, well, you know, there's that. And then people pay subscriptions for online gaming and spend thousands of dollars on these computer systems that light up and do all these other things. Hey man, LED light in your computer case never helps you play a game.
Right.
Just saying. So
Yep.
Fair.
yeah, I think I think that we can all argue different aspects from the money perspective, but if $100 makes you happy every couple of weeks to play a game, man, then that's what you need to do.
Yep.
I honestly even forgot the Switch 2 is coming out this week. I don't
And
want
it would be
one,
a lot
but I
better if
was.
you spent it at Unplugged if you were going to spend $100 on buying.
And
I,
the Switch 2 is now totally wireless, so you can play it unplugged at Unplug. And
you know, I do have some money set aside for some Thousand Suns over at Unplugged as soon as they get in.
when are they getting in?
Oh,
Next week, I
Did you
whenever
guess.
they
order them?
can.
Did you order some?
I thought I did.
You might want to let me know what those are supposed to be soon, because I don't remember you ordering any. It was a Codex. I remember a Codex.
You just remember a Codex?
You never told me any models.
You crazy son of a.
To be fair, we haven't put an order in yet, so we got time, John.
All
Rest
right,
after
we got
this
time.
message, you can go to the Unplugged Facebook and message.
Dear mother, not my dear other mother effer, reading this. I told
Yeah,
you what I wanted.
that's why I said go to the Facebook because it won't get to me. It will go straight to
Then
someone
please
else.
send to this
Forward,
person,
forward this.
forward to whom it does concern.
Takes the screenshot of me doing this, like Chris sent me. Oh man.
All right.
All right.
Anyways,
So John, what? How do you make time for life and the hobby?
to me, it's really about schedule. I have after a lot of communication and everything, I have a pretty set schedule on like what Monday looks like through Sunday. You know,
Yeah,
so
with the house.
that's all it is making sure that I have a night for the wife. I have a good time for the kids. I have time to give every day I go out. My wife has equal time to go and do what she wants to do. So that's all. To me, that's how I balance is every week we actually have an app and we have so many other things that we keep schedules on to communicate with each other.
Dang, y'all use an app? Damn,
Yeah, we have it's called
it's
like How
hardcore.
About It, I think it is. And we just use that and we plug in whatever we want. Like if I sign up for Fly Monkey, I put it in there so she can know months in advance and be like, oh yeah, he still has that. I'm free to go do this with friends if I want to. I'll just have to take the kid along. And that's usually how I try to balance mine. And then I ensure that, every night, just like this recording or anything else, I try to do it after a time where the kiddo's asleep so my wife can go do whatever she wants. I can monitor on my phone, which I am monitoring right now. And, we each have our equal time.
Okay. I mean, and that both of you guys both said planning, and I mean that's where I was going to head with this too. Is about cutting out that time in your day and prioritizing that time. More importantly, like with what Mike said was, you know, making it a choice, right?
Right, right.
And about a year ago, maybe a little over a year ago, I got into the habit of using my calendar to just literally like write planning out my week. I have so much. I live and die by my calendar because I started realizing that as a single individual with no dependents, I would kind of get. It's interesting because you guys have the same problem I have, but from different things, right? So you guys are incredibly busy with all sorts of stuff going on in your lives. For me, I was running into an issue of trying to juggle all of my hobbies at the same time. And
Hmm.
so and then also work and leagues and different tournaments and whatnot. And so I've started, as a few weeks ago, using a notebook here to just plan. It's a daily planner, and I've got stuff all up in it, and I write out notes and plans and stuff, and I can reference it and things like that. I was using my calendar for a while. Now I'm using one of these. I write down like my to-do list and task and stuff, and I have found that not only is it incredibly um, fruitful on the results I get for like actually accomplishing things, but it's also makes it very rewarding to get those things done. So like when I get to check something off on my list, it's like, oh man, that's so nice. I get to actually look and see, man, I did a lot with my day.
Hmm.
And it's fun to do that. I've actually started recommending this to guys on our team. We have teammates that have reached out to me and they've mentioned, hey man, how do you do it all? And like, or I'm struggling to find time to do this, or man, I'm really feeling this burnout and stuff like that. And I immediately point them towards some kind of organizational planner, whether that just be a calendar, write it down on your calendar, set yourself deadlines, or having like an actual planner book like this where you write down, things you need to get done for the day or whatnot. I find that planning definitely makes it not only from a daily sense of like I'm going to do these things at these times every day, but even long-term planning as well. Having a calendar and a planner makes things so much easier to balance around. So,
Agreed. Yeah. No, I had a I had a calendar and I haven't kept up with it this month. I think I blew it off in May also, but I had something like that to help me initially get through and be like, okay, I'm gonna paint. by the end of this week, this many thousand suns or
Mm-hmm.
this many models or get these guys primed. And it was pretty nice. I just kind of fell behind, and once I started falling behind, it was hard for me to get caught back up. But I should use it. It was helpful when I was using it, and I've also seen a very big decrease since I stopped using it on like trying to make sure I got things done. I would get distracted. I'd be like, "What was I doing? Oh yeah, I might have been painting something," and then all of a sudden I started painting something else.
It's kind of like the gym. In fact, I think Mike and I talked about this during 75 Hard, but also one of my mentors that I have over in Australia mentioned, like, when I was trying to get ready for Golden Demon, he kept calling it paint gym because it's just like the gym, right? When you get in, when you do it for a while, it feels good and you're into it, but as soon as you slack off once or twice,
Mm-hmm.
3 times, and then it's so hard to get back into that rhythm, right? So I understand that for sure.
Yeah.
Well, we're out of points. Was there anything anybody needed to add to making time for life in the hobby? Anything or anything just in general about mental health and or anything to do with the hobby? Anything at all you can think of that the listeners would be beneficial to hear?
Oh, you had to throw beneficial in there. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I mean, I think just to wrap it up is just for me is that sometimes if you're struggling with something or whatever, some of these things that you do all the time or that you don't get a chance to that you want to do can really be the therapy that you're looking for or the outlet that you need or whatever. Um, just like I said, just like painting, you don't have to, some people like to journal, some people like to sketch or whatever, but if yours is painting and you're looking at it as a time sink or something you don't have time to do, or it's just for a stupid game or whatever, well, maybe you're missing the fact that it actually is therapeutic for you and beneficial for you to do that. I mean, if coloring books were therapeutic, there wouldn't be all of these new, adult coloring books, adult themed coloring books, and all of these new markers that have hit the Amazons and all the bookstores and all that kind of stuff. There wouldn't be all these new colored pencils and all this kind of stuff. It's a huge growing sector of a wellness type activity and for mental health. And I think our hobbies around gaming can be the same thing and certainly are for me anyway.
Hell yeah,
Yeah.
John.
I'm just gonna say, go do what you want to do. If you, it's kind of like what Mike was saying though. Just do whatever, whatever makes you happy. My big thing was before I became like primary board gaming, I was also playing board games all the time and message people, and they'd be like, "Oh yeah, I love playing board games. Love playing Monopoly," and I'm like, "I want these other board games," and I'd be like, "Oh yeah, let's play Monopoly. That's what you guys want to play," and it was like, "No, I want to play Fury of Dracula or Azul or something else that was more than let's play Sorry." And it's like, yeah. So just play what you want to play and enjoy what you do with the time. You get to yourself. Don't conform to everything. Do have your time be your time and do what you know set out to do.
Hell yeah, Mike. Were you gonna say something on that
No,
or? Okay, I thought you were getting ready to say something. Um, the only thing I would say that I kind of said at the beginning of this too, but it's just to reiterate it is like again, you're not alone. Like I'm not going to speak for these guys here. Their business is theirs, but I know for a fact that all three of us in this channel and everything, we've had our own struggles and we've all tackled things with we're I would say we're all pretty mental health positive. So we've all been down our own roads, and so you're not alone. So if you're out there and you're struggling with something, hopefully listening to us jabber like a pack of monkeys every week is something you get enjoyment out of, and we can be that little bit of a relief for you. And then next time you listen to one of these episodes, just know that we're juggling our own stresses and problems in life, and you're not going through this world alone. So, um,
you sound like a
to those
commercial hotline.
this is I'm very I'm very campy in my sincerity. Um, that being said, those of you listening, I want to ask you all, how do you find time to keep things good at home while still getting to find time for the hobby? We'd love to know what you guys do, to your tips and tricks to that game life balance, how to keep a positive mental health space, as well as making sure that the loved ones in your life, get the attention they deserve as well. Something that we've said in the gaming scenes I've been a part of for a long time is, life comes first. So definitely
Mhm.
find time for yourself and for your hobby, but it's also totally forgiving to skip out on that stuff if you need to. So how do you find that time? How do you do your game life balance? We want to know. But until the next time, keep gobbling up them adventures. Bye everybody.
See
See
ya.
ya.